The Note 7 is finally here, and boy does this new S Pen pack a punch. Let's take a look at literally every single thing you can do with this stylus. We'll start with the screen off, then work our way deeper into the S Pen's capabilities. Pulling the S Pen out when the screen is off allows you to quickly write a note and save it for later. The Note 7 supports palm rejection, so you can place your hand right on the screen and not have to worry about messing up your note. If you want more room for your note, just tap the down arrow or swipe up on the screen with your finger. If you made a mistake on your note, you can either hold the S Pen button down to turn the S Pen into an eraser, or tap the eraser icon at the top. Just remember to tap the pen icon when you want to start writing again. If you suddenly decide you don't want to save the note, just tap delete at the top. If you do want to save it, either tap save at the top or just reinsert the S Pen. This will save your note in the Samsung Notes app that I'll show you later. Lastly, you can pin the note to the Always On display for quick access, which is great for things like short shopping lists. This will keep the note on your Always On display for an hour, then switch to an icon under your standard Always On display. Just double tap the icon to see the pinned note. From here you can either minimize or delete the note. Unfortunately, you can't edit the note. Hopefully that feature will be added in a future update. As you already know, the Note 7 and S Pen are IP68 water resistant, which is useful for things like taking a quick note when your hands are soaked, or for controlling the camera when you're in the water. If you pull the S Pen out while your phone is unlocked, an Air Command menu will pop up that gives you shortcuts to a bunch of S Pen features. You can move the menu to either side of the screen, or minimize the menu and move the icon anywhere along the edges of the screen, or remove the icon entirely by dragging it to the trash can. If your S Pen is already out, but you don't see the Air Command icon, you can bring the menu back by pressing the S Pen button while hovering the S Pen close to the screen. And if you prefer to never have the Air Command icon sit on your screen, you can just remove it by tapping the settings gear, then tapping the floating icon toggle. The first Air Command shortcut creates a new note. The default note method here is to use the S Pen as a regular pen. If you tap the pen icon at the bottom, you can change the type of pen. You can choose between a fountain, calligraphy, and standard pens, a pencil, and a highlighter. Below the pens are options to change the pen thickness, and choose from 9 preset colors, or a custom color from a color wheel. If you make a mistake while writing, you can either hold the S Pen button down and draw over the part you want to erase, or tap the eraser tool at the bottom. If you tap the eraser tool again, you'll get the option to erase line by line, or by touched area of variable size. You can also quickly erase the whole handwritten note. If you want to move some text around, you can tap the selection tool and simply draw around the text you want to select. There are 2 different selection methods that you can access by tapping the selection tool again. There's a lasso option for freehand selection, and a rectangular option for, rectangles. Once you've made your selection, you can drag it around, resize it, cut and copy it, delete it, bring it to the front so it sits in front of anything else in your note, or send it to the back so it sits behind everything. To paste a selection that you cut or copied, just long press on an empty area of the note, then tap Paste. Undo and redo are also available. If you've made it to the bottom of the note page and need more space to continue writing, just tap the plus icon to add more room. Once you've added more room, you can use your finger to scroll up or down the note. Lastly, if you have other types of notes on the page and just want to focus on your handwritten note, you can pinch out with 2 fingers to isolate the handwritten note while you're working on it, then pinch back in to go to the full note. You can also switch to using the keyboard by tapping the word text at the top of the screen. Rich text is supported, so you can make a checklist, a number list, or bullets, make the text bold, italicized, or underlined, and change the font color. If you don't want these options there, you can tap the 3 dots in the upper right corner, then tap Turn Off Rich Text. This just hides the tools, but doesn't change any of the formatting you already set up. If you want to handwrite your note, but have terrible handwriting like me, you can tap the little T icon that appears when you hover your S Pen in the upper left corner. This brings up a window that you can write in, and Samsung will convert your handwriting to text automatically with mind-blowing accuracy and speed. I'll cover this feature more in depth later in this video. If you feel like drawing something, you could switch to brush mode. This gives you 7 different types of brushes to use. You get a watercolor brush that even mimics the wet spots on paper if you brush too many times, an oil brush that can be mixed with different colors to make new colors, and a basic calligraphy brush. You also get a pencil, a crayon, an airbrush, and a marker pen. Not only that, but you can also customize each writing tool by tapping the settings gear. Depending on the tool, you'll get the option to change the size and opacity. You can also choose from 16 different colors or pick a custom color from a color wheel. The S Pen is also pressure sensitive, so you can draw lines of varying thicknesses for most of the different brush and pen types. If you want to get a bit more detailed, you can pinch in or out with your fingers to zoom in or out of the page. You can then use a single finger to scroll around on the page. And of course, there is an eraser tool at the bottom with a variable thickness and opacity for when you want to fix either fine or large details on your drawing. Holding the S Pen button to erase also works here. And you can even let go of the S Pen button after you've started erasing. The S Pen will continue to erase until you lift your pen off the screen. Oh, and in case you were wondering, after a few weeks I still have never had an issue with the curved edges on the Note 7 when writing notes or drawing because there has never been a reason for me to try to draw that far over. It'll work if you try, but it does become more difficult to be accurate. When you're finished with your art, you can upload it directly to Pen Up, which is an art community where you can show off your work and get feedback from other artists. If the art was just for your note, you can tap Done at the top of the screen and the art will be added to your note. If you're a terrible artist like I am, but have an image that you want to add to your note, just tap the word Image at the top of the screen. This will pull up all of the images in your gallery to pick from. Or you can snap a picture of the piece of furniture or that new tool you want to buy and write some notes about it. You can even pull images in from third-party apps like Dropbox, OneDrive, and Google Photos. If you want to take some information from a whiteboard or blackboard, you can use the photo note option to snap the picture and remove the background, leaving you with just the text, graph, or drawing. For the times when you don't feel like writing anything down, you can also create a voice note. If after all your note-taking you have more notes than will fit on the screen, just scroll up or down by using your finger instead of the S Pen. The last option for creating a note is to categorize it using custom categories that you set up. Once you're finished with the note, tap Save at the top of the screen. This will save the note and give you a few more options. You can share the note with all the usual share options, add the note to your favorites to find it faster, or set up a reminder in case the note has a grocery list that you'll need on your way home from work. If you tap the three dots in the upper right corner, you'll also get the option to delete the note, lock it using an alphanumeric password or your fingerprint, pin the note to your home screen, which creates a resizable and scrollable widget that contains your note, or print the notes to a PDF or local printer. To see all your notes, just open the Samsung Notes app. The next option in the Air Command window is Smart Select. This allows you to quickly draw a box, oval, or lasso around an area of the screen that you want to take a screenshot of. Once you've selected the area, you can draw on it using all of the same pen tools that are available in the Note app that I just showed you. You can also crop it, share it using all the usual share methods, save it, and even have it stay on your Always On display. If you choose the Always On display option, you'll also get the option to use a picture from your gallery instead of the original selection you made. The last two things you can do with Smart Select are to use Auto Select, which tries to automatically separate an object from the background if you want to do some quick Photoshop-esque type work, and you can extract the text, which will do just that. It will pull out any text in the image and give you the option to share that text. This is useful for copying text from pictures since you can't just long press to select the text. The last Smart Select feature is to create a GIF of any video playing on your screen. The size and quality are adjustable and you can navigate around your phone before you start recording. But as soon as you hit the record button, the screen locks until you hit the stop button, or you reach the max length of 15 seconds. That means you cannot use this feature to make a tutorial of how to do something on your phone. You can only make a GIF out of the video that's playing on your screen. I recommend lining up the GIF box first, hitting play on whatever video you want to capture, then hitting the record button. Once the recording finishes, you'll be given the option to share it using the usual methods, or to save it. There's also an option to draw on the GIF if you want to bring attention to a specific area of the GIF. However, this is a static drawing, so it will not animate along with the GIF. It just sits on top of it. The next Air Command feature is ScreenWrite. This one's pretty simple. It just takes a screenshot of the whole screen that immediately allows you to start writing on it. At the bottom, you'll get the scroll capture option, which captures more of the screen in a single shot, the option to crop the image, share the image, or save the image to your gallery. You also get all the standard pen options at the top. Translate is a brand new S Pen feature. This translates single words from one language to another. You can move the language bar around in case it's in your way, and you can quickly change languages by tapping the language and selecting a new one. To translate a word, just hover the S Pen over it. You can also tap the speaker icon to hear the correct pronunciation of the word, or tap the blue words to bring it up in Google Translate. The Translate feature is particularly handy when traveling to foreign countries. You can just take a picture of a dinner menu, then hover the S Pen over the text in the picture to get the translation. Keep in mind, you will need internet access to use this feature, so if you don't have some sort of data plan or Wi-Fi access when you're in a foreign country, you won't be able to use this feature. This translation feature is also currently limited to single words, but if you download Samsung's S-Translate app, you can highlight a bunch of text, then tap Translate. This will translate the entire body of text you highlighted and will even read the translation out loud. Glance is another new feature for the note line. This shrinks your current app down into the corner. You can move the app to any of the four corners, and when you hover your S Pen over it, it opens the app back up for you to use. Then, just pull your S Pen away from the screen and it will shrink back down into the corner. This is exceptionally useful for copying something from one screen to another. I most recently used it to copy my IMEI and Wi-Fi MAC address from my settings to Samsung's website for a promotion they had so I could get a free 256GB microSD card. This method was much faster than just switching between apps using the Recent Apps button. And in case you were wondering, you can use Glance at the same time as multi-window, but you need to open up a Glance window before multi-window. Otherwise, you're met with a message that says you can't do that. To close the Glance window, just drag it to the top center of the screen. This won't close the app, it'll just close the Glance. So if you reopen the app, it'll be right where you left off. Magnify is another new feature that does exactly what you think. It calls your most recent contact. Okay, not really. It just magnifies an area of the screen where you're hovering your S Pen. You can choose between 4 different magnification levels: 150, 200, 250, and 300%. This is handy for taking a closer look at an image on a website where you can't scale, or for people who wear reading glasses and don't currently have them on when trying to read some small text in an app. If you find yourself never using some of these features, you can tap the settings gear in the corner to swap them out with shortcuts to any app you have installed. Microsoft's OneNote and Samsung's built-in calendar app would be 2 of my recommendations. Now that we've covered the most common features, let's dive a bit deeper into some things you may not know about, especially if you're new to the note line of phones. If you hover the S Pen over various icons in many different apps, you'll be given a description of what those icons do. If you hover near the top or bottom of a scrolling page, it'll start scrolling for you automatically. This works on every Samsung app and a handful of third-party apps, Google Chrome not being one of them. If you hold the S Pen down, you can select text that you wouldn't normally be able to select. I use this feature all the time when copying snippets of tweets, YouTube messages, or personal messages, as well as for copying product names when I'm doing research for an upcoming purchase. If you hover the S Pen in the upper left corner of any text box, a small T icon will appear. If you tap that, you can handwrite all of your text and Samsung will automatically convert all of it to printed text. There are even a bunch of shortcuts to fix any typos by writing over words that need to be fixed, crossing out or scribbling out parts of words that you don't need. However, I did notice that scribbling was usually less effective than just drawing a line through the part of the word you want to remove. You can also remove single characters by drawing a line from the character that ends in a loop, add a space between characters by drawing a tall line between them, add letters in the middle of words with a caret symbol either above or below the text, and you can join a word that accidentally got a space in the middle of it by drawing a curve from one part to the other. Many of Samsung's apps have special functions that work with either hovering the S Pen over the screen or holding the S Pen button down. Let's start by taking a look at the Samsung Notes app I showed you earlier. If you hover your S Pen over a note, you'll see a larger preview of that note. If you hover near the top or bottom of the list, you'll scroll through the list, and if you hold the S Pen button down, you can drag to select multiple notes at once. In Samsung's Messages app, you can hover your S Pen over a conversation to show the full text instead of a snippet of it. You can also hover over an image that someone sent you to get a larger preview of the image, and the option to save the image to your phone. This also works for videos, but you still need to tap the play button to get the video to start. Lastly, if you hover the S Pen over links, you can see a preview of the web page before you open the link. In the Calendar app, you can hover over a day in the calendar and it will show you the events for that day. If you hover over an event, it will expand the details for that event. And if you have many events that day, you can hover near the bottom or top of the list to scroll through the events. Hovering over the left or right edges of the calendar will switch between months, weeks, or days, depending on which view you're in. You can also scroll up or down your tasks list, day view, or week view by hovering near the top or bottom of the window. If you hold the S Pen button down, you can either tap on a day or drag select a number of days, then quickly write in your event with the S Pen. The Note 7 will automatically pick out times, location, title, etc., then fill out the event accordingly. There are a lot of ways to write in an event, but the important thing to remember is to use the @ symbol when you want to include a location. In the Gallery app, you can hover over an album to see some of the pictures from the album. You can then swipe on this preview to see more pictures from the album. Hovering over a single picture will show you a larger preview of the photo and give you quick shortcuts to either write on, edit, share, or delete the photo. Hovering over a video just gives you the option to share or delete it. You can't play the video from this view, so you'll still have to tap it to open it. If you hold the S Pen button down, you can drag to select multiple photos in one shot. You can also use this to deselect photos. In the Email app, you can hover over a message to see an extended preview of the message and get quick options to move the message to a different folder, set a reminder that will bring the message back up in your notification shade after a set period of time, mark the message as read, reply to the message, and delete the message. Hovering near the top or bottom of the list will scroll through your emails. Lastly, holding the S Pen button down allows you to select or deselect multiple emails at once. In the Internet app, holding down the S Pen will allow you to select text or act as a long press when tapping links and images. Keep in mind this only works with the built-in Internet browser. It doesn't work with Chrome or Dolphin browser, but if you find one that it does work with, comment down below and let us know. The My Files app will show you a preview of any pictures or videos when you hover your S Pen over any icons, even in the detailed view. It'll also play any audio files, which is extremely useful if you're looking at generic track titles. Holding the S Pen button down and dragging along icons will select or deselect multiple things at once, which is useful if you want to share multiple files quickly. If you download Samsung's Video app, which is like a gallery that only contains videos, you can hover the S Pen over a thumbnail to see a preview of the video and quickly share it or delete it. If you download Samsung's Video Editor app, you can hover over video clips to see a preview of them, hover over a folder to see a few thumbnails of images or videos in that folder, and if you keep hovering, it'll show you more images or videos. If you hold the S Pen button while dragging up or down on the timeline, you can zoom in or out to make editing easier. And speaking of easier editing, the fine point of the S Pen just makes the overall editing experience much smoother. Using the S Pen in Samsung's SoundCamp app offers no benefit, except that if you have two S Pens, you can use them as tiny drumsticks. Too bad drumming was never my forte. If you downloaded Samsung's S Note app, you can hover the S Pen over different notebooks to see a preview of their contents. You can also scroll through the notes by hovering your S Pen over the top or bottom of the page. Those of you who've been subscribed for a while may remember that this is the app that I dubbed Samsung's best kept secret on the Note 5, and that statement stands. This is such an incredibly powerful app that can do way too much to cover in this video. To see a 13-minute in-depth review of just this app, click the banner above or the link in the description. One big change to point out, though, is that Photo Note is back. I did an 11-minute review just on that. It was actually my very first video on Techisode TV, so if you want to see how far this channel has come, check that out too with the link in the description. Some third-party apps also support the S Pen. Microsoft's OneNote has full S Pen support and automatic detection. You can write with a customizable pencil, pen, or highlighter, and use an eraser. The most prominent third-party app would probably be Autodesk's SketchBook for Galaxy app. This is an artist's dream app. I'm no artist, but I'm confident that this solidly has over 95% of the tools any artist would use on non-digital artwork, plus a ton that you can only use in digital format. I honestly don't even know what half of these tools are, I just know that there's an outrageous amount of them with an insane amount of fine-tuning options. To give you an idea of just how powerful this app is, here's some artwork made with this app and the Galaxy Note 4 and Galaxy Note 5. Now consider the fact that the Note 7's S Pen has a 0.7mm tip and can sense 4,096 different levels of pressure compared to the Note 5's 1.6mm tip and 2,048 levels of pressure sensitivity. That's right, the Note 7's S Pen has a tip that's less than half the width of its predecessor and has twice the pressure sensitivity. Imagine the art potential with this device. I can't wait to check back in a couple months to see what the artist community has accomplished with the Galaxy Note 7. Let's take a quick detour to the settings to point out a few S Pen specific options before moving on to the final hidden S Pen feature. In the settings, you can get to the air command options I showed you earlier, and some other options to disable a bunch of features. Air view is everything that happens when you hover your S Pen over the screen. Basically, that shuts off all the cool features. Direct pen input is the feature that converts your handwriting to text. Pointer is the tiny icon that appears on the screen when you hover your S Pen over it. Screen off memo is the feature that allows you to quickly write a note by pulling your S Pen out while your screen is off. S Pen alerts is a super cool feature that will notify you if you try to walk away without putting your S Pen back in its silo. It even tells you exactly when you last removed it, so you know right away if you left it at work or if it's somewhere in your house. S Pen Power Saver turns off S Pen detection when the S Pen is in its silo to save battery. I'd keep this turned on unless you plan on using multiple S Pens with this device. S Pen sound will play a sound when you pull the S Pen out or put it back in. This will also make a scribble sound as you draw or write. On older versions of the Galaxy Note, the removing and inserting sounds were customizable. Now you're left with just the swoosh sounds. However, if you download an app called S Pen Toolbox, you can change the sounds to any sound file you have on your phone. Just remember to disable Samsung sounds or you keep hearing them on top of your custom sounds. Unfortunately, this will also disable that lovely scribble sound. I'm okay with that though, because it makes me less likely to want to jump off a bridge. The S Pen Toolbox app also allows you to launch an action, shortcut, or application automatically when removing the S Pen. The actions and shortcuts are pretty limited, but at least they're there. Further down, you can turn on an action list which shows up to 4 shortcuts when you pull the S Pen out. This is handy if the 6 that Samsung gives you is just not quite enough. The next feature is to turn on an action list shortcut in your notification shade that brings up your S Pen shortcuts when you tap it. This shortcut is only there when you have your S Pen out of its silo. You can also have the screen turn off when you insert the S Pen, turn off only if the screen was off before the S Pen was attached, or return to the home screen when the S Pen is inserted. The last option is to place a screen off shortcut on your home screen. This is great for those times when pressing the power button is just way too inconvenient. Going back to Samsung's toggles, we see that the last toggle is S Pen Vibration, which gives a little vibration when you remove or insert the S Pen. Further up, you get detachment options. This sets what the phone will do when you pull the S Pen out. You can set it up to pull up Air Command, create a note, or do nothing. Alright, here's the last S Pen feature, and as I mentioned earlier, this one is hidden. Like, you have to sideload the old version of an app type hidden. This feature is Action Memo. It's been one of Samsung's biggest S Pen features on the Note line for years, and for some reason, Samsung decided to remove it from the Note 7. Fortunately, there has been such a swell of angry reviews on the Samsung Notes app in the Google Play Store that Samsung has replied to the reviews and said that they will be adding Action Memo back in a future update, hopefully sooner than later. To sideload the app, download the APK from the TechisodeTV website at www.TechisodeTV. If you have a Note 4 or Note 5, you can create your own APK of S Note using any APK creator from the Google Play Store. Once you have the APK, navigate to it with the My Files app, then tap it to install it. If you don't have sideloading enabled, tap Settings, then tap the Unknown Resources toggle and make sure the Allow this installation only checkbox is checked so that this toggle will turn back off after you install the app. Now just tap Install and wait for it to finish. If the newer version of S Note was already installed, you'll have to uninstall it first before installing this older version. Otherwise, you'll get a Not Installed message. Once it's installed, just hold your S Pen button down and double tap anywhere on the screen to open Action Memo. This double tap shortcut works from any app and even on the lock screen. Action Memo's coolest feature is Link to Action. You can use this by either holding the S Pen button down and selecting the text you want to perform an action on, or by tapping More, Link to Action. This feature allows you to highlight text from the note and perform different tasks on it. You can call a number that you wrote down, add a new contact with a person's name and number, search for the text on the internet, which is useful when someone tells you to look something up, but you don't have time to do it at the moment. You can just write a note in Action Memo, then come back to it later. You can search Google Maps with the text. This works well for things like restaurant names. You can send an email, and then there's my personal favorite, Task. This one creates a task list and saves it to your calendar. I use this all the time when adding things to my to-do list. I just write a few things down and it all gets saved to my calendar automatically. Other Action Memo options include changing the pen color, switching to an eraser, changing the background color of your note so you can easily identify which notes are for work, which are personal, and so on, pin it to your home screen so you won't forget it, minimize the note into a movable floating icon, set a reminder that will make the note pop back up whenever you want, open it in S Note for more robust editing, delete, save, share, or resize the note, start a new note, and go to a list where you can see all of your Action Memos. The last thing you can do is pan up or down the note by sliding 2 fingers up or down. After all that, when you've spent a year or so heavily using the S Pen, you can even replace the tip with one of the extras that came with your Galaxy Note 7. So there is everything you can do with the S Pen on the Galaxy Note 7. Be sure to subscribe to see my top 100 features review and my top 10 cases review for the Galaxy Note 7, and don't forget to drop a comment down below letting me know what your favorite S Pen feature is. That's it for this Techisode. I'll see you guys in the next one.